like the sound has its days. Like some days are very powerful, but you know, some days the subtleties are also important. But as always, I am Daphne Emily.
And I'm Edie Cyrus.
And we are Soulful Tea.
And we are two bodacious, beautiful ladies from Brockton, unraveling our truth on identity, on empowerment, on mental health, and on fashion through conversations from the soul.
Yay. Being back again, episode 16, because last episode I was like, I didn't realize we were on 15, but today I'm coming correct. Episode 16, we're on season 2. We're here and we're moving and
grooving.
It's grooving. We are. It's been a good time. It's continuously becoming more and more of a great time. You know, it's always been good anyhow. But welcome everyone. And you know, usually we start off keeping it real quick, but we switched it up a little bit today.
We are?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna talk about really like keeping it real quick, but
yeah,
the whole episode is basically us keeping it real.
Okay. Even though we keep it real every single episode.
Obviously.
You know? Man.
It really just means we didn't pick a specific topic. We're just kind of going with the flow of where the conversation leads us, because I think one thing that's really good about us and important to us is that we flow in conversations and we have very open, honest conversations. And we wanted to come in with a wherever it leads us kind of sense of a conversation. So I guess keeping it real quick before we get to the conversation from the soul, Elise.
Keeping it real quick. I'm gonna do 2 real quicks. Keeping it real quick, so 2. Is that I'm super excited because my jacket came in, and I'm super excited because it's a Soulful She jacket, and every time it's gonna rain, I'm gonna be like, wait a second, I need to go get my Soulful She jacket to like show it off everywhere I go. And literally when it came out, I just decided that like I need to put it on right now. I need to put it on right now, and I need to do everything, and I need to go do some errands too. But I'm super excited because this came in, so you're gonna see it everywhere I go. And then 2, I'm super excited because like, you know, I even put some lipstick on for this, you know.
She did.
But like, you know, I got this lipstick on because I'm trying to, you know, do it a little more than usual because I'm not a makeup person at all. But this is me celebrating, you know, because, you know, I just feel like I happen to be, you know, featured on somewhere, but like, you know, I'm not crying and I'm not like a fangirl or anything, you know, and I wasn't staring at myself in the mirror.
I've had to reel her in a little bit a few times.
You know,
not
but
today.
I don't know.
Before today. Today I was like, girl, I don't even got the words for you, so fangirl away.
But yeah, so I'm excited because we got featured in this beautiful brand that I've been following for a very long time, and I'm a huge like, whenever I can support a Latina company, I will. And this just happened to be a company that is based off of LA, if I'm not mistaken. And I happened to get t-shirts secretly that Daphne and I would both share. And we ended up using it for one of our photo shoots. And I ended up tagging them in one of our posts, and then they were like, we want to feature you. So I was like, wow. But yeah, so keeping it real quick, I'm like up here just because of that.
That's it?
Yeah.
Who are they?
They are hija de tu madre, and in English it translates, basically hija de tu madre translates in some way like son of a bitch, if that makes sense, but like the Spanish version of it,
kinda, but if you do like a direct translation,
it's daughter of your daughter of your mother,
which is you,
which is them,
yeah,
basically, and so it's like a play on a curse word, but we're taking it and
we're owning it because it's part of our culture,
basically.
Also, still similarly, like on Cloud9, I just found like the way it happened so like smoothly, and how like supportive they were, and the fact that like, you know, social media, people can see you and stuff like that, but like they saw them on Iris's page, but then followed the link to Soulful She's page and then followed Soulful She and then reached out to us on Soulful She where the post wasn't even at, and then just like through there them saying, well, we want to do this campaign and we want to start off with you guys, so like send us your bio and it was just, it's really cool. And it's like a whole SMS campaign. So they texted all their texting subscribers. They posted on their stories on Instagram. They posted on their actual page. For like a brand to post you on their page is kind of a big deal, because usually for brands, it's like, it has to be their aesthetic, their vibe. So like if it's suitable that fits what they usually post on their page, I think it's really cool that they felt like, we want to put you guys out there and put our bios, where we're from, who we are, and didn't object to our bio at all. Like, we gave them the bio, they kind of tweaked it in a way that I actually think was way better than our bio.
I agree.
But expressed exactly who we are, and I just really appreciate that they weren't like, you know, this is our brand, this is how we do it, this is how we work, but like they were very open into listening to who we are and presenting that to everyone. And humbly so, just like being little old Soulful She podcast, like still working and still building, and having them like put us out there feels really cool.
Yeah.
And then they call us queens, and I'm like, I agree, I do agree, but it just feels great to hear it and be appreciated in the sense that, like, you know, we always have our supporters that I love, that I'm so happy that we have around, but having new supporters, and it's just a different feeling all of a sudden. So I feel like I hope I always have this feeling when something comes up.
Girl.
You know, like, you know, I don't think I'm the type of person that gets too big for anything. Like, humbly, I always feel like any little thing is such a big deal.
Yeah.
So I just really appreciate them, and shout out to them for listening.
The way, like,
Yeah.
But yeah.
When they first, like, I saw the notification, I was like, Iris, did you see Instagram? And she was like, no, did you see the post? She was like, what? I was like, girl, go to our notifications. Like, I intentionally didn't go to the notifications yet. So you could go. I was like, you need to go to the notifications right now. And as soon as she went over and she saw the post, we're over here in the text messages, like, what do we do now? Like, I don't even know how to act anymore. But yeah, pretty awesome. So keeping it real, just been a great day. Honestly, the energy's been very, very good lately. I'm feeling changes in my life, also doing things to make sure I'm making the right changes in my life. So setting certain things forward that have been delayed and put off, and I'm finally starting to move.
Yeah.
And I feel like certain things that were blocking me, that were in the way, that are getting removed, are opening me up to different opportunities. And I just feel really good and open, and just, you know, trying to be as fearless as possible. Because I know myself, and I get very kind of antsy and fearful when I feel like I can do more and I'm capable of more, but knowing that it's still scary for that more. So it's like keeping myself in check and just being like, honestly, jump head first if you got to at this point, and no regrets. So that's been my vibe lately, and I'm excited. I am nervous, but I am being as fearless as I possibly can be.
I like how you said, as fearless as I possibly can be.
But to keep it real, like, I have my moments, and then I'm like, nah, you gotta remember, you're that bitch. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. Like, scared of who? Because I'm not, you know, I say I'm never scared of people, so scared of who, you know? So it's like, what am I afraid of if I'm not afraid of people? If I say that, then what, yeah, so I ain't scared of nobody, so I ain't scared, I'm out here.
I like how you were saying that, like, you noticed that there was blockages, and the changes that you need to make are the changes that you needed to make, you are making, and therefore doors you feel like are opening for you. And it feels very good in that sense of, like, because I've definitely been there where I know that things need to be done, and until that doesn't happen, like, it's not gonna feel good. It's not, like, you're always gonna have blockage, and you're always gonna have something that's like reminding you of, like, you know, the universe loves to send little hints and reminders of, like, this is what needs to change, this is what needs to change, and it's more of like, you know, the doors are opening and so much more is opening up for you. And so knowing that that has happened for you, how have you seen in your life that doors have been opening, or that you are listening to what is going on and realizing that like, oh yes, this is the path that I should be taking on?
I don't know where the path is leading me, so I'm just going forward. I think for me, it's more of a feeling right now, and I guess it's me really accepting that like I know I'm capable of more. So I think that's the first door of being like, I'm not gonna be scared. I know I'm capable. So I intend and plan to do more and do better for myself. And I think that's the first door of being like, I'm not gonna keep standing here and do nothing, and knowing like the things that are in my way that have been blocking me, that I know have been blocking me. I'm like can't sit and do not like I can't sit like I'm a lazy person, so I can be home and like have a million things to do, and I'll be like, nah, I'm just gonna watch this whole season of this show, because like forget that, like. But I've gotten to the point that like lately there's things that I know I have to resolve. I'll sit and try to watch TV and just be thinking about it and just be like, get your ass up and get it done.
Yeah.
Like you need to get it done, and that's how I've been lately. Like
That's good.
you know, because you know me, I would easily be like, well, my life is, you know, my house is burning down, but I'm just gonna sit here and finish this season. Like
one more season, one more episode.
yeah, just one more episode. Because I mean, at this point, it's what can I do? So, so it's really just knowing that I'm capable, and then like just doing things to push myself forward and creating better habits. So that's like the first step for me. Funny, because before I came here, I stopped by a friend's house, and her fiance out of nowhere was like, if you failed. No, it was he said, this is a quote from Albert Einstein. If you tried and failed, congratulations. And we just looked at him like, okay. And he was like, because some people never try. And I just felt like, you know what, you got that. Because like, I'm feeling the sense that I'm like trying. I'm continuously like not trying to sit in the corner and do nothing. So I was like, you're right. I'm gonna try, and if I fail, if and when, because it happens.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just keep going. So.
I like it. And specifically with that failure, or like you trying, because even you trying is important.
Yeah.
And even if you failed is important, I've definitely been trying to position myself in a better failure state,
Okay.
if that makes sense. And failure state in the sense that that I'm purposely trying to make a mistake, because I feel like I was never the type of person that was comfortable with making mistakes. And so with that sense, like I definitely grew up without a growth mindset. And it was always like, if you make a mistake, that's like the worst thing possible in the whole wide world. And I was so anal about not making a mistake that I would jeopardize my own growth by not saying if I made a mistake, which was even worse, because it's just like, that's me not holding myself accountable, and then also me also swindling myself, because again, mistakes are important and mistakes are necessary, but I don't know what was it in my life that gave me that mentality or mindset of that, but I grew up with like mistakes are the worst thing possible, and like now I'm trying to do better at like, yes, mistakes are possible, but like let's actually make mistakes so that we can get much more comfortable with making that mistake and being like, yeah, I did make that mistake, but this is gonna help me and pivot me in a better place. Because I feel like everybody's success deep down, I have a conspiracy that everybody's success is because of a specific failure.
That's it, period.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that, and I feel like a lot of times, I think it's normal for people not to want to mess up. No one wants to be put in an uncomfortable situation, and with failing, you are uncomfortable. You're not happy, obviously, there's no excitement in it, but just accepting that, like, you need these bad times to kind of help you, like, push yourself to keep going forward. And it's that sense of, like, if you try and you fail, like, if you don't try, you do nothing. Like, what are you doing then if you're not trying?
Yeah.
And it's, like, really the only option you have if you want to keep moving forward and doing more things. Like, you're not going to win $1 million off a lottery ticket if you never buy a lottery ticket. You know what I mean? And, you know, chances are very slim to win, but people do win. So it's one of those things that, like, unless you do it, or at least try to do it, you're not really going to get anything done. And I guess it's a comfort thing. People are comfortable in where they're at. And if life is okay right now, then what's the point?
What is the thing? If fix it broke.
If it ain't broke,
If it ain't broke, don't fix it mindset.
Yeah.
And that can be dangerous.
I mean, if some people are comfortable and they're happy with their lives the way it is, but I just know I'm not happy with my life the way it is.
She's like,
so I guess if it's technically broke, so let's try to fix it, you know?
yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I'll look for a question as we're here.
And I feel like at the end of the day, I feel like it's like we're ever evolving, and unfortunately and fortunately, it's even harder now because of the, like, I don't know how this is gonna come out, but just thinking about, like, with like all of the racism and sexism and like everything that has been like rising to a level that it hasn't risen before, like mistakes are looked at even more serious. And it's like in some situations, in some of these cases, we can't make mistakes.
Right.
So it's scary.
There's a lot of situations where I think there's people in my life that I would never want them to do certain things or be put in a certain situation because there are risks for who they are, especially in the country that we live in. But for me, it's like, do we just stop living and stop doing things because we're fearful for our lives? I just know with myself, I know that day will come eventually.
What day?
My death will come eventually. So for me, it's one of those things that, like, I know there's things I'm not gonna go and do just because, you know, like, I'm not gonna go and do certain things. But for me in general, like, I'm not gonna be fearful of doing things outside. Driving, you know, an example, you know, I can be pulled over and anything could happen. Like, you can't live in fear of things like that because you just can't move, and you won't be doing anything and just being in fear constantly. And ultimately, the oppressor is always going to win in that sense, of allowing the fact that you have to, that's what they want, us to disappear in a corner or whatever, so they can be and reign supreme. And then we don't, I mean, I guess for me, in the sense that I understood it, it's like, we still have to live our lives in a sense. I can say, like, you ain't going to find me in some country town down south going into one of their diners. I wouldn't do that. Like, I drove to Miami, and when we drove through South Carolina, I was like, we're not making
stopping
any pit stops here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, things like that, yeah, I ain't gonna do, but I guess in general, that just sucks, but, you know.
The interesting thing is, I wasn't even looking at it like that.
I took it that way. Because you said being certain people.
Yeah. But
and racism and sexism.
No. But I was actually looking at it in the eyes of white people.
Okay.
And I was looking at it in the sense of, like, the mistakes that
they
make is not allowing, like, a lot of, like, I feel like within this very sticky topic of racism, of sexism, of the isms, there is little room for them to make mistakes. And I'm not trying to sympathize, but but just being mindful of, like, a lot of people, and I'm not speaking for them either, but this is just my perception, is a lot of people won't even step into the conversation because they're afraid that they will fuck up, and in them fucking up, like, it's gonna be like, well, you're being racist as fuck. Wow. Sort of situation where they probably are learning and still trying to understand and how to have this type of conversation, And so it's more of like the mistake that they are making, which I just finished saying that like mistakes are supposed to be good and we're supposed to continue to make mistakes. And it's just more of like,
I don't agree in a sense, because I get that whole they're uncomfortable to say the wrong thing to the wrong people because they just want to learn, they just want to get it right, and they fear saying the wrong thing. Honestly, you're gonna have to fuck up, and if you fuck up and you have to be checked for it, then you have to be checked for it.
And go ahead, sorry.
So you have to be corrected for it. So like if you want to live in fear because of that, it's because you don't want to hear the honest truth about the privileges you have. And you're afraid of anyone checking you and telling the reality of the lives other people live. I just feel like if me as a woman of color walking through this world, I have to watch how I look in certain spaces, watch how I speak in certain spaces, watch every day of my life. That 5 seconds that you're talking to me trying to learn and you're afraid, I'm afraid for my younger brother going anywhere. You know what I mean? So I don't care about the words you have to say and your fear about the words you have to say.
Yeah.
Because you're not, in that moment, you're not fearing your life. Or if they are, it's because they're privileged and they think anything that's said against them is like this, the world's coming to an end because they live in this fairy tale land. Or not even, they live in reality, let's be real. They live in reality in the world that's been put for them and built for them to always do better and be ahead. So for me, it's like, all right, you scared because you're gonna say the wrong thing and I'm gonna check you. Well, my family's scared. You know, the people I know and love are afraid for their lives, afraid to walk into certain spaces, have to be very aware of how they, are dressed, how they look, how they're perceived, how they speak. But regardless of anything that we do, we're still wrong.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how I come into a room, there's still gonna be something wrong with me. I'm still doing something incorrect. I'm still making a mistake. So be scared all you want, but if you really want to learn, then you put yourself in that position. So if you really want to be an ally in that sense, come into the space and just realize and accept that like this is not going to be easy. It's never been easy. And if you really want to be an ally, then swallow your pride, and you better not, that wasn't my ancestors, or that wasn't me, I wasn't there during slavery. I don't care. You're still reaping the benefits. So your presence and what you do every day still affects people of color around you. So I know you aren't sympathizing, but I definitely don't sympathize. I definitely don't feel bad. I definitely am very open to dialogue and very open to people expressing themselves, very open to correcting people.
Yeah.
But I also don't feel bad.
Yeah. I wasn't, yes. I like, yes, and yes. I think I was just more acknowledging the fact that that is a possibility and an option that people like refer to because of why they are afraid
to make
mistakes. Yes.
But I guess their mistake is better for the improvement of everyone else. So if you are messing up and you're being checked and corrected and really acknowledging the ways that you have to correct yourself as a white person, then that mistake is helpful for other people. It's helpful for me, and honestly,
yeah.
And if I just think when it comes to any type of thing that people want to accomplish, any type of work you have to do, there are going to be those types of mistakes. But in general, if you want to be an ally and you want to learn, one, it's not our responsibility to teach you. You want to learn so bad,
Google.
There's a lot of, you can Google books to read and you'll get articles with like top 10 books to read if you want to be an ally. So like, if you really wanted to be, like you wanted to learn, there are resources out there.
Yeah.
You don't have to seek your black friend and say,
tell
me why you're oppressed. Where do you want me to start? Like, do you want me to start with this morning with like, the lady cutting me in line, or do you want me to start with 400 years ago in slavery? Like, what do you want me to explain to you? So like,
which TikTok video do you want to watch?
Yeah, do we want to watch the white girl that's telling us about how you're being racist and dancing about racism? Or are you because I've been seeing that. All these white girls are allies and they're like, this is what makes you a racist. And they're like Harlem shaking in these videos. I'm just over exaggerating that part. I hope they're not. But like smiling and pointing at like phrases talking about this is what makes you racist. And it's just like, so you're over here making a show out of expressing what we are going through, but all right, do you, whatever works for y'all to feel better about the oppression. But then there's the black TikTokers are over there spitting the truth and saying things like that. I don't know. Honestly, I don't feel bad for these people. If they really want to learn, they could learn. And I did tell you about someone who asked me. I never answered her.
So context to this.
I hope she don't watch this. And if she actually, I hope you do watch this. But I had a past coworker. She's a friend, and I call her a friend, but we posted something where I posted something, and she basically was like, where I'm from, honestly, I never see racism because we're all white here, and I just want to understand like what can we do to do better, and I just to really understand what goes on, and how can you guys teach us what to do. I never answered her because I wanted to, because she's younger, and I've always felt with her that we can have open dialogues about certain things, but I don't have the words.
You don't have the words. Even now.
I can't teach you this. First of all, I don't know the whole thing. I just know certain things I feel, and I know I don't even feel the extreme gist of it because there's a scale of colorism that I fit in. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And I've acknowledged that, and I accept that. So knowing where I'm at, I can only speak to so much, and I can also speak to people of darker complexions, but I can't give you the real truth because I don't live it, and I'm not gonna sit here and break it down for you and make you feel better because honestly, throughout it all, we're all going through certain things, and I'm not gonna want to make it less important or make it sound like for me, I guess I don't want to be wrong, but I can be wrong, and that's fine, but there's only so much I can provide as a resource. There's resources out there, and I just can't sit here and try to explain to you how white people have done shit to make us still be behind in this world. And I guess it's growing up and living through it, certain things to be it's so obvious, but it's obvious because we live it and we see it. And for her, it's I've never seen it because I've only grown up around white people, and I'm I don't know what that is. I can't tell you that. I honestly didn't grow up around I grew up in Brockton, which is extremely diverse in a sense, and
Definitely.
there's so many different cultures here that for me, when I went to a predominantly white college, I was whoa, this is not the real world. And then I left college and went into the workforce, and I was actually college was the real world. Where I came from was kind of this different kind of fairy tale type of place for me where I felt comfortable, and then you step out of it and you're actually the real world is really
real.
whack.
Yep.
But yeah, I never answered her, so I hope this answers your question.
Well, technically you went into it.
Yeah, I didn't. I hope this answers your question. I can only say and do so much. I know that I've always been very patient with people, and I think when I was younger I was a lot more patient. I know one roommate I was in a regular triple, and one roommate that moved in, she was in a forced one. So we had one girl I wasn't really a fan of. She got kicked out because she tried to try me, but that's not why she got kicked out. I just think karma did what it had to do. But she tried to try me with being growing up with strict parents. I was do you know what it's like growing up with an immigrant strict parent? Because you don't.
Yeah.
She was using that to justify her behavior and the things she was doing on her free time. But whatever, do you, girl. So she got kicked out, whatever. She tried to come at me, that's why. She tried to curse me out, and I was yeah.
Have fun with that.
Yeah. So then homegirl moves in, and she tells me that her old roommates were from Martha's Vineyard, and that they looked me up because at that time it was on Facebook.
Yes.
All of us, we were the only ones on Facebook. So they would email you and tell you who your roommate is.
So you can look them up.
And then the first thing you do is you go to Facebook and you're let me see who this person is. So they looked me up, saw where I was from, and she told me that they told her to tell me that I can't let any of my friends come over because black people steal things. And young Daphne was so naive and sweet because I was just let me listen to you and let me break this down for you and really understand why they said that.
Yeah.
When Daphne now would be well, tell you and your little friends. But again, I listened. I was well, she acknowledged that it was racist, whatever. She also asked me at one point, which was very interesting, because she's from the Cape, deep in the Cape. She said, how did black people really get to America? And I literally sat there and was is that a serious question? Like, she's
Being
like,
very
yeah,
nice.
like, did they come on the boats like by choice? And I was like, you're trolling me. We didn't say trolling back then, but
Yeah,
if
but-
it was now, I'd be like, you're trolling me. And she was like, no, really, like, from what I've learned, it's like, I know that Black people came here on boats, but like, why did you guys come here? And I'm like, because we were taken from our land, tied up, like we were chained to the boats and brought here forcefully. I honestly, I wish I could remember that whole conversation, because it was really just, it was hard to have that conversation and to kind of like, you know, when you're trying to teach like elementary kids, like that, you learn those things in elementary. So I was like, do I put my like elementary teacher hat on and like break down? Let me talk about the Black History Month worksheets we did when I was younger. Like, so I've just had experiences where I was always open to dialogue, and even now, like even at work, I tried, and I've just learned it's just not for me in certain spaces. Like, I can be patient, we can have these conversations, I really can. I can be really empathetic in certain spaces. Depends on how you come about it. But I've also learned that I like to remove myself now from a lot of those conversations, just because I just don't have the patience for it anymore.
Or the energy.
I don't. And at this point, I'm just like, girl, just keep moving how you're moving, because in the next year, when everyone forgets about everything that's happened within the last year, you're still going to be flourishing, and not really, you know, just doing the minimum and being promoted, and I'm still going to be here having to do times 2 to even be noticed. So, but that's just how I feel right now. Maybe check in with me in like 5 years or whatever.
Take a
I know.
a picture of this and be like,
So Daphne, how do you feel about white people now?
ooh. So, I got these cards.
I was gonna ask you a question first, because I've talked a lot.
Okay.
Oh, this is a good one. I didn't even read it until now.
Okay.
What do you want to be remembered for?
Ooh.
I know.
Wow, that's a. What do I want to be remembered for? I think I'll bring it back to the first time I really came to the realization that I want to be able to make your soul smile. Like, I want to bring joy to your soul. And so I want to be remembered by the feeling that I left you. Because knowing that this weekend was Maya Angelou's birthday, one of the quotes that I live by is, I don't know it word by word, but you know, people will forget the words that you say, people will forget, it's 2 things. People will forget the words that you say, and people will forget the things that you do, but they'll never forget the feeling that you left on them. And so one of the things that when I was really beginning the journey of truly finding out what I want to do and how I want to move on this earth, I realized the importance of being present, but also getting to know people for who they truly are inside, and making that part of them joyful. And so I think one thing that I want to be remembered for is the feeling of joy that was brought between our exchanges.
That's sweet. That's a good one.
What about you?
I don't know.
Wait, you're not gonna answer it?
I had tweeted this a long time ago, and it was like a saved tweet until my birthday, but I think I wrote something like, I just want to be remembered for just being happy and being, you know, that's it. Like, and I guess in that sense, the happiness that I feel is also something that I hope that I can also give to other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely understand how you feel, and I don't need, I mean, I want to leave generational wealth.
She's like, what, I can scratch that. Let me write.
Because I feel like we don't talk about that enough. And, you know, I want
It's
to make
important.
sure you're happy, but I also want my kids and their kids and the great grandkids and all of them are still eating.
Yeah.
And I, you know, building off of that. So I'll say yes, remembered for the lineage I leave behind and everything else that comes with that. And then also just being happy and making people happy.
Okay.
First and foremost, my loved ones that I'm really believing with a lot of money.
I like how you said it in such a like it is going to be happening.
Oh yeah.
You know, bring it on. What is it? Speak it into existence.
Speak it into existence. Lately, we've been a little bit dangerous for the things we've been speaking into existence.
Listen.
We be talking about some things and they be coming right back around.
You have to be careful for what you ask for because.
But I
didn't even ask for it.
Okay. And then you just talked about it.
Yeah. So, what is? Oh, so context really quickly. I follow a lot of random things on social media, and
Don't we all?
and one of the things that I follow is We're Not Really Strangers, and We're Not Really Strangers is it's a deck where you basically, it's like the 36 questions if you want to fall in love. There is a podcast called Modern Love that did a story, and the New York Times also did the story on 36 questions that are scientifically proven if you use these questions to fall in love. And then there's a little exercise that you do afterwards where you have to stare at each other for 4 minutes. But the questions plus that connection lead to falling in love with the person. And so this is like a supplement to this. It's not exactly from the 36 questions, but it's something along those lines where like getting to know someone in a deeper level. And I'm definitely that type of person. So
Right.
like any type of peeling of the layers of the onions, that's me.
You haven't said that in such a long time.
Yeah.
Peeling of an onion.
Yeah. And so I got these, and the questions are pretty deep. There's 3 levels. There is.
Why are we starting off at level 2?
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. You already got the deck.
But there is perception, connection, and reflection.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
And perception is more of like us perceiving each other.
And we're too far gone for that.
Basically. But within connection, there's wild cards and regular cards. And so one of the questions is, what do you think is the hardest part of what? Oh, we're still talking about each other. Okay.
That's level 1. That's fine. Your cards are mixed up.
Oh, ooh, thank you. Okay. What is?
As you shuffle through the cards to make sure if that's actually what you're asking.
That's the one that I want to ask. What's been the best compliment a stranger has ever given you?
My favorite, or it's hard because I have a favorite, but then I have like the best.
You then share both.
I can say a memory I had.
Okay.
That's one of my favorites. Is I was at work at the store, and this older lady just came up to me and was just like, "You're beautiful," and I was just like mid-conversation with my coworker. So when she cut me off, I was just kind of like, "Oh, thank you. Like, that's really nice." She's like, "No, but you're really beautiful." And then she looked at my coworker. She's like, "You're beautiful too, but I mean." And that's
Wait, what?
Yeah, she did that, and it was just like, and then she went, "But I mean, like, she's beautiful." And my coworker's like, "No, it's okay. You don't have to compliment me. Like, she is beautiful."
Yeah.
So that's a memory that like was within the last 2 years that I think about sometimes, and it makes me laugh just because it was like, one, she made me happy with complimenting me, but then like when she was like, "You're beautiful too," but that makes me laugh because I was like, one, that became hella awkward, and 2, that's probably something I would do because I'd feel bad too. But my coworker was like, "Yeah, it's okay. Like, you don't gotta lie to me."
Yeah.
So that's one that like is one of my faves. One of my most recent memories that make me happy. But another one is when people compliment my name, or like, "Oh, I haven't heard that name in a while," or, "Oh, you have a beautiful name." I really love it because I love my name. So that's definitely one of my favorites, I guess.
I like that. I like the name. I would have never. I know you like your name,
Yeah,
but
I don't hide it.
But I didn't think that it was that like you value it that much.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's interesting. It either goes two ways when I meet people. So like one day at the store too, I helped this girl. We were vibing, it was really cool. And then like, it's cool when you have those interactions with customers that you really like bond. And at the end of it, she was like, they want to know your name now. So it's like, what's your name? And I told her my name. She paused and she was like, that's a beautiful name. And I'm just like,
all around.
Thank you. And then I have other people that are like, what's your name? And I'm like, Daphne. And they're like, Daphne. I'm like, yeah, just remember Scooby-Doo and you'll never forget it. And that usually works. So it usually goes one or two ways with my name. So.
Okay.
Do you answer the same question, or did I just go and look for a question?
You can go and look for a question.
Do you want to answer the question though?
That's fine.
Are you not answering the question? Is that what we're doing?
I forgot the question.
Okay. So, what title would you give this chapter in your life?
I would give this chapter's the title. The first thing that keeps popping into my head and doesn't go away as I think of other things is surrender.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate?
I think it's surrendering to my intuition, surrendering to my gut feelings, which is my intuition again. But I think surrendering to what I need to be doing, surrendering to the signs that I've been getting. Like, I think this chapter is about listening and in listening, surrendering.
That's dope. I have nothing to add to that. That's a great answer. I don't think I would have said that, and I'm not answering the question because you answered the last one. So you can shuffle that deck. Well, that was a great answer.
Thank you.
And surrendering is not an easy thing. That's why when you said that, I was like, whoa. Because just admitting and acknowledging that you do have to surrender certain things is not easy.
And just because the title is surrender doesn't mean that I've gotten fully there yet.
You just know that it's this chapter of your life.
Is the neededness.
It might be a long chapter.
Oh, it is. It has been.
I feel you on that.
So we're gonna go to reflection.
We're gonna do like 2 more questions just so we don't stay on it forever.
Okay.
And have like a 3-hour episode at the end of this.
Facts.
2 for you, 2 for me.
Okay. What would be the perfect gift for me?
Oh. It's not a hard thing to answer. I just think that it's like, do I want to give away my secrets? Or what if this is a gift I really am planning to give you? Or am I just delaying so I can really think about the question? I think for me, the biggest thing that I notice that you give people is a space to like be themselves, a space for camaraderie, a space for fun, a space for eating, a space for drinking. So honestly, like the biggest thing I would love to do for you is having your loved ones be in a space to celebrate you. I know like that's the love that you give, and I see it so often that I know bringing you into a space of people celebrating you like you always celebrate people, and then just great times, laughter, food, and drinks, I think is like the ultimate thing that I would put in my mind that I would love to do for you. And I think that's, yeah. So I don't think you need too much of the physical, and I think we're really good at like kind of giving each other stuff and really understanding each other, but I think people taking the time out to really think about like the things you love to give are really things you love to receive. So like that postcard was like, let me write Iris a postcard because she's really
wrote me a postcard. That was beautiful.
So things like that. But I think the ultimate gift that would be like the best is like having the whole Iris celebration. It don't gotta be your birthday, nothing. We don't need to give you all the attention. I get it. You don't need all the attention, but putting you in a space where everyone's coming together to have fun, and it's because it's all the people that you love that you easily intertwine with each other that still have a great time together. Yeah.
What would be a perfect gift for you?
I'm a complicated but also uncomplicated human being.
Yeah. I
think you've done a good job sometimes.
yeah.
Well, every time.
I feel like if I had the money, we'd just go on a whole ass shopping spree.
Oh, I feel that.
And I think that alone, and then just letting you know that like there's no card limit. I feel like that would bring you joy.
That'd be a good fucking time.
You feel me? I feel like that would be one thing. And then I feel like the way that I think about gifts for people is the time and the space in which they're in, if that makes sense. So like I don't think about it as like, so I guess the question is, in what space and time is Daphne in right now, and what would I give her now? This is a hard question right now. As you think about it, I mean, as I think about it, I think about it, you can look for the next one. Honestly, I have this weird thing, but I keep going to like monetary for some reason, and I don't even know why.
Because the girl is broke right now and she understands the struggle.
Because literally I was just like shopping spree, and then like literally paying off all your debt.
Oh, if you do that, I'm indebted to you for the rest of my life, and I swear
I feel like
that's the correct answer.
So like it keeps going back to money. It's just like yeah. But there's other things other than money. But I think I need to think on it.
Take your time. So you are answering this one again, right? So what am I most qualified to give advice about? That's a hard question.
There's a lot of stuff actually that you are qualified to give advice on. I feel like you just laid it down for us right now, and you laid it down for us the episode before. Like, you know, she gave us the whole vaccine spiel, and then she gave us this whole, you know, I don't feel bad for y'all. Get it together. Like, I feel like anything that comes out your mouth, like you just the same way that you said it yourself, like you don't like being wrong. And so in saying so you don't like being wrong, you will do the research and you will speak on what you know rather than some hypotheticals. And so I feel like, again, in my eyes, you're qualified to talk.
Great answer. Great answer. Qualified to talk. So next time someone tells me to be quiet or I'm saying too much, say, actually, I'm qualified. Overly qualified. That is a great answer. So if I would say what you are most qualified to give advice about, I would say in terms of self-improvement, I think that we all know we all have to improve, and I think you are very aware of the things that you're working on and improving on, but you do a very good job of putting people in a place of working on themselves. So I can say you're the really qualified in being like, well, let's sit down and let's talk about goals. Let's talk about goals. What is attainable? What is not? And I will never forget attainable. And just like, what can you be doing for that? And really just putting people in a space that like, we can be here drinking, having fun, but right now we are talking about ourselves, because what other spaces, or what other time are you really gonna sit and think about and talk about your goals? Exactly. So you have great advice in being like, here's certain things you can do right now to kind of set forth different goals that you'd never have the space to do. And most of the time when you're with friends, I feel like the group of friends I have great groups of friends that we motivate each other. Mm-hmm. But I think when you're partying and stuff, there's no, we don't put that into the ether, we just kind of sit and we're celebrating and just having fun, but you're really good at including that into the space and making people really work. And I feel like people come to you now to look for ways to improve themselves.
Yeah.
I think people really do seek you. So I think you're very qualified. And like in that, and I also think that as you are very qualified, you are learning to also be like, I love y'all, I can help y'all, but right now I'm helping myself. So you're using those qualities on yourself more and more, which I'm very proud of. So yes.
Nice. And so these are some of the questions that are here.
I guess we'll pull those out here and there because it's just really fun. I think with the relationship that we have and really wanted to put into Soul for She was conversations from the soul. So really being able to talk about any and almost everything. I'm not going to say everything because I know we have still certain things that we don't want to put out there. Like, you know, there's not every conversation that's going to be filmed or talked about, but we do have great conversations that can be deeply rooted and really good at talking about triggers, negative things in our lives, but also ways to do better, be better, and be happy. So
And empower us.
Empowered. And when you were talking about like what I'm qualified for, I just kept getting this. The word that kept coming to mind was conviction. And I think I've learned through the years and even through doing this podcast, I speak with conviction a lot. And that like I always say that I know a little bit about a lot just because I would like to hold conversations in many spaces and also be able to speak with conviction on certain things. If I don't know much about it, I know I struggle through a conversation if I don't know much, or I'll straight up be like, I have no clue.
Yeah.
So,
You're honest.
yeah, I am honest, but.
What would be your definition of conviction?
Speaking my truth with no hesitation, being able to hold my own in a space, and when I'm speaking, knowing that I am speaking, and you can listen or not, but I don't lose my voice. I have my voice. I'm still holding space. So, and if you're not listening, it's because you're being spiteful and don't want to hear the correct thing, because I am more likely than not very, very correct. No, but like just speaking with conviction, speaking with confidence, and knowing that even in spaces that I feel uncomfortable really speaking up, just being like, well, what has to be said is gonna be said, so we're gonna say it.
Yeah.
So
I like that. I like that a lot.
thanks. What do you feel? How do you feel about this episode right now?
I think I definitely wanted to be able to give our audience a little bit more about ourselves, and so sharing these questions opened up a little more about like what we think about each other, and then how we look at each other.
I think very, very highly of Edie. So
Likewise.
very, very highly.
Likewise.
Like I said before, remember we talked about that coworker who was trying to come at you? Like, who comes at Iris? Seriously. Or like this weekend when someone was not saying your name correctly.
Yeah.
And then chose to call you by a different name. That shit really made me mad.
Yeah, there was, yeah.
And, you know, I don't know if alcohol was, I don't know what was the reason, but.
What was the reason?
I don't know. But it was, yeah.
I will say, so someone did mistake my name, and I am in a space in my life where I am allowing myself to allow other people to call me by my Spanish pronunciation. Yes, thank you. Because instead of making their lives easier, it's more of like, no, don't make their lives easier. They need to learn how to say my name correctly.
Because they learn everybody else's name.
Yeah.
If they want to.
Yes. And so I think that happening during this time, I think that conversation, so basically the guy kept calling me Irish, and it's because it was
Irish.
Yeah, Irish, and he was saying it in his language, if that makes sense. And I was like, I get it, you're saying it in your language, like I get it,
but this is how
I'm pronouncing it.
This is how I want it pronounced.
And then he was just like, all right, well, if you don't want me to say it like that, I'm gonna call you something else.
And he was like, what's your last name?
So
when he said that, I looked at you like, girl,
I was just like, wait, what? But throughout the night, he did call me by my name.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
I think he
"That."
understood at a certain point, like we're not playing, like this is not a choice.
But I think before I would have definitely been like, just do whatever you want to do. And so I'm glad I'm in the space where it's like, nah.
Yeah, that was an interesting like interaction and like how I felt in the situation. I was like, no, like that's not her name.
Yeah, I felt he was like, yeah, that whole situation. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Like I just felt like since that interaction, because I was not letting him do what he wanted to do in a space, like it was more, I felt like I was what's the word,
Hurting his ego.
Basically. And so therefore he kept on like picking at me throughout the night.
His feelings were hurt.
And so I think throughout the whole entire night I felt like he was subliminally picking on me because I hurt his ego very early on.
But you didn't hurt his ego. You were telling him how to say your name. So the only person that's to blame in the situation is himself. Because just because you feel a way about wanting to do something doesn't mean that that's how it has to go. And if that hurts your feelings, then that's your problem. Again, think very highly of you, Iris, and when spaces like that. And I just feel like if that was me too, like I don't care about your feelings. Like that's my name.
Yeah.
And again, you know how I feel about my name, so it probably wouldn't went very interesting. But I guess for me, that's all I have for conversations from the soul. I just wanted to have like flowing and sort of flowing conversation.
Yeah.
I just learned that like with this podcast, like wanting to be so specific on things just doesn't like, I'm not good at it yet. And I don't like doing things that I'm not good at.
Yeah.
Especially when people are watching. So maybe I'm supposed to be practicing and get better at it. But I just feel like being so strategic and like specific on things is not what we like decided we wanted to do with this podcast. So when we try to do certain things, I feel weird because I'm like, I just don't feel like we're being so
The energy is not there.
Yeah, but I think we found a way to kind of like make that work in also the soulful conversation. So yeah.
So then throughout this whole entire conversation, what do you feel are some takeaways that you've gotten from all of this?
Takeaways that I've gotten is that we have great conversations and we always are comfortable in doing so. And then for me, it's definitely my favorite thing about this podcast is just being very open about it, and just people being so receptive to that is really, really nice. And that's something I've learned, and even from this, knowing that like I'm comfortable to have this kind of type of episode because I feel like people will still be receptive, and like there's so many podcasts for so many things that can be really specific. And that's fine, like that's what they're built for. And just knowing that like we can also hold space differently and still have people be receptive. So that's what I've taken from this, and knowing that there's a comfort in being able to be open and have conversations and pull out the deck of cards and ask each other questions and still be like, I know people are gonna see this, but like we're gonna keep it real.
Hey, I like it. And I think a takeaway from me is that once you start going, I like the way that you move. I like the way that you move when it comes to conversations, because just the way that, like, again, we're two different people. And yes, we agree on a good portion of our conversations.
99.9% of the time we agree.
But I think that we also go about it differently.
Absolutely.
And so just thinking about like that simple conversation of, mistakes and just you bringing it back to like, yes, that's something that they might be going through, but like, let's look at the bigger picture and pay attention to also like, what are the masses of other people like having to go through that, like putting so much weight on this is not fair, if that makes sense. So just like where your mind rolls. I enjoy hearing you. Talk.
I hope you think that of yourself too, because you're a very good conversationalist, and you're good at making people
talk.
Yeah,
you know that part.
Yeah, and making people drink.
I know that part too.
She made us all drinks on Saturday, and she came back, and her cup is not see-through, and I'm like, let me see what's in your cup, because everyone got a drink, whatever. I'm like, what is in your cup? And I took a sip, but there was some liquor in there. I could taste the liquor.
Yeah, but it was like
water and liquor, and I was like, oh, I, whatever.
That happened to me twice this weekend. I was hanging out with with somebody, and the shot cups were ceramic, so you couldn't see anything. But the cups were like 2 shot cups in one. So then, like, they were in shot number 6, and I was just like,
no.
Me? Like, do I want to survive the night? Yes. So like, literally, as we were taking the shot, everyone's like, yeah. Everyone's like, yeah. It's just like, yeah. And then I ended up snitching on myself because I dropped it.
Good. I'm glad you did. And I hope they made you take a shot because of that.
Yep.
All right, good. Well, that's all for Conversation for the Soul. Do you want to go into the
Stepping into you? Stepping into you will be a reflection question from this beautiful deck. Since we ask each other questions,
I know we gotta post this so people actually answer us, because we stepping into ourselves on these episodes, and like we just feel like hopefully someone one day would like.
Ooh, I like this.
I'm glad I didn't get this question.
No, seriously.
I don't even know what the question is, but I'm sure I'm glad.
How does one earn your vulnerability? Has someone earned it, and how can they earn more of it? Interesting. That's a great question to speak on, stepping into you, because I think that Daphne and I think a big reason why this couch exists and we are having these beautiful conversations is because we have been able to peer into each other's vulnerability enough to trust each other to make this happen. So this is a great question of like, we have been able to do it, and therefore that's why Soulful She lives and exists. So therefore, to your audience, how does one earn your vulnerability?
And if no one can, why? That's not the question on the card, so you don't really have to answer it. It just came to mind.
I'm gonna add it onto the blog post.
You know how many pending blog posts I got? One for every episode.
Everything happens for a reason. And with that being said, Daphne,
Fashion forward.
Fashion forward. What's going on?
Alrighty, honestly, we're never skipping fashion forward. So
the joy that came.
I love it, but so being real about fashion forward, it's one of those things that I know what I love. It's just hard in my mind to reflect that or project that in Soulful She. So it's me really bringing out what I think of out here. But what I wanted to express today for fashion forward was one to talk about Hija de tu Madre.
Go ahead.
You know, I might not speak Spanish all the time, but I try. And just kind of shout them out and then tag them in it, because I feel like with what happened today, I just really appreciate them doing so much. And it might not seem like a lot for certain people, but it definitely does feel like a lot for me and for us at Soulful She. And honestly, I love their t-shirts and a lot of the stuff on their website. So I just we'll tag them in this section and tag them on the episode, because I need y'all to check them out too. So
yeah. Yeah. And I have their cup that we will show off, and then I have two of their shirts as well that we can show off.
And it's just really like about boss ass.
Jefas.
Yeah. So, and stepping from Hija de tu Madre, because I gotta say it again so y'all know I can say it. But as always, wearing Beads by Troken and the lovely pieces.
Every single episode,
yeah.
Literally
even if we don't say it, we're wearing it.
Episode, we are blessed with Beads by Troken, one of one, because his motto is, these beads are one of one, luxury ass beads.
And honestly, earlier I was looking in the mirror and I was like, wow, green really is a good color for me.
because of the earrings that she was wearing.
It's not like I'm not wearing all green, but like the earrings itself are just like, there's a mirror there. I've said this before, so now you guys, like every episode, if that mirror stays there, I will be looking at myself a lot.
It is.
And I think I look pretty cute. So, but showing off the earrings and showing off Beads by Troken as always.
Yes, and
also Beads by Troken has a YouTube now.
yes, I was just gonna say
Oh,
that.
go ahead.
Beads by Troken is letting us step more into the craft that he has beautifully crafted and created. And so in a way that he is allowing us to step into his world is by creating this wonderful YouTube channel. And in this, he shares his journey of a custom piece that he creates for
The first episode.
a couple for their 5-year anniversary. So check out what it looks like, check out how it goes, and check him out.
Yeah, and that's fashion forward. Nothing resonating with me. Everything in this episode has resonated. It's been a great day. The universe is giving me abundance in ways that I am open and receiving, and hopefully getting more and more. So I feel abundance, but like I can feel more. I got room for it. So I'm open.
You're open to continuing to receive all that the universe has in store for you.
Yes, all the good things.
I like that.
Because we can afford it.
Yes, definitely be careful. But with that being said, as we always close it off,
Nothing resonating with you?
oh yeah.
She's like, yeah, the end of this episode.
Ooh, that was beautiful. That was actually really beautiful. What's resonating with me is just watching people glow. Like, I've been seeing people glow, and I don't know what is in the air, what is in the water, but people are looking beautiful every single day, more
She's
and
not
more.
just talking about me.
And so I think what's resonating with me is seeing the beauty of people more and more. And so
happiness and self-love lately that's been.
I think so. Yeah, like when you look good, you feel good, and pouring onto yourself will always beautify you even more.
Awesome.
Yep.
So
As always, I'm Edie Cyrus.
and I'm Daphne Emily, and we are
Soulful She. And as I always end it is, they can listen, he can listen, but she is speaking.
and we might be one more drop in the ocean, but we just might be that last sip to quench your thirst.